Are you still training like you did in your 20s? That's why you keep getting injured. If you're new here, I'm Connor, and since 2011, I've helped over 200 men over 30 stay strong and pain-free even after injury setbacks. So in this video, you'll learn 20 simple ways to train smart, avoid flare-ups, and how to build a resilient, pain-free body you and your family can count on. In my 20s, I trained to failure on every set and kept getting injured. Then I started leaving 2 reps in reserve and my results skyrocketed. Instead of pushing every set until you can't lift anymore, stop when you feel you could still do 2 more reps. This keeps you safe and helps you progress for years, not just weeks. So lesson number 1 is don't train to failure. A lot of guys are focused on optimal rest periods and days between sessions, whether it's 24 hours or 48 hours. And this is really less important if you're achy and stiff all the time. Instead, focus on a daily movement practice to open up your hips, your spine, and your shoulders if you want to feel a lot better in your body. Lesson number 2, move daily with lower intensity sessions. I used to think I had to follow the program exactly. And this rigidity led to pushing through gym sessions when I tweaked something and always made the issue worse. Once I started backing off, once I felt something off in a session, I stopped getting these unnecessary injuries. So lesson number 3, when you feel a tweak, just back off. Missing 1 set saves you from missing 6 weeks down the line. A big part of overcoming a lot of my injuries was learning correct exercise form. I didn't hire a PT until I was 5 years into my career. And in 6 weeks, he fixed a chronic shoulder issue I'd had for years of doing ridiculous amounts of bench pressing and bro splits. So lesson number 4 is focus on learning correct form. Most guys I train are really underdeveloped in the back of the body. So their back and their glutes, and massively overdeveloped in the beach muscles. So the chest, the biceps, the quads. So targeting these weak links in your training fixes a lot of these annoying injuries like your shoulders, your knees, and your low back. Lesson number 5, train your weak links, not just the strong ones. In my 20s, my body was completely wrecked from injuries. My neck was always tight, shoulders, back, hips, everything felt like it was falling apart. Then I came across Dr. Yanda's work on upper and lower cross syndrome, and I focused my training to offset modern life. So I strengthened the back of my body, I stretched out the front of my body, and a lot of my aches and pains improved. Lesson number 6, prioritize strength work in the back of the body and stretching and flexibility through the front side of the body. A big trap a lot of guys struggle with is stopping their training completely when they inevitably get a flare-up. This causes them to get even weaker and more compromised for future injuries. There's even research showing training an uninjured limb increases recovery to the injured one. So lesson number 7 is injuries will happen, but you need to learn to train around them. Now, if you're over 30, chances are you don't have the shoulder mobility to overhead press safely. So we avoid this initially with clients and we focus on horizontal pressing and more pulling patterns and shoulder stability work to ensure our clients stay safe with their training. So lesson number 8 is focus on low risk, high reward movements. When I first started training in university, I focused on bench pressing 3 days a week to build up my upper body, which I think a lot of guys do in their 20s and late teens. Then I remember going kite surfing and feeling completely uncoordinated and really top heavy. So I changed my focus to focusing on muscles to movement patterns. And then my body started feeling more supple and strong in and out of the gym. Lesson number 9, train movement patterns, not just exercises. A lot of guys go from rehab back to full exercise and keep re-injuring themselves because they don't build the necessary bridge of progressions to ensure their body is prepped to go back to full movements. Lesson number 10, use smart progressions to go from rehab back to full activity. In my late 20s, I had chronic lower back pain for over 4 years, and any negative sensation would result in me panicking and feel like my injury was back to square one. But over time, I understood that this is actually what's known as a downward anxiety spiral, and that flare-ups were actually really just feedback, and the goal was to create more space and time between each flare-up. The less I reacted to the flare-ups, the quicker my injury improved. So lesson number 11 is managing anxiety is a huge part of your injury recovery. One of my clients couldn't understand why he kept on getting flare-ups when work got busy. Then we explained to him the impact of stress and allostatic load on his body's resiliency. Once we improved his stress tolerance, his injuries reduced dramatically. Lesson number 12, stress is a big part of flare-ups. Now I want you to imagine you want to drive from Boston to New York, and let's say it takes about 4 hours on the freeway. But if after every 5 kilometers you decide to take another route, go on a different road, chances are at the 4-hour mark, you're actually no closer to your destination than you were. And this is exactly what happens with program hopping. It leads to inconsistent training results and destroys your rehab. Lesson number 13, consistency beats novelty and program hopping ruins your results. Most clients struggle with consistency before we work together. And that's why they're always aiming for their perfect week, the most optimal way to train. But when they come into our program, we actually focus on what they can do on their hell week or on their worst possible week. And we get them to create their exercise floor. This is the least amount of workouts they can still do on this crazy week. This helps them stay consistent when life inevitably gets busy. Lesson 14, create an exercise floor that you can maintain when busy, and less is more on this one. You get about 12 weeks of green light training each year. So that's when you can really push things, your nutrition, your sleep, your body, just everything feels really dialed in and you can be consistent. So lesson number 15 is be realistic with your training expectations over the course of 12 months. I was always sleep deprived in my 20s. I was DJing and running a club night and taking all the wrong types of supplements. I was always getting injured, and I started dialing in my PM routine and sleep, and then my results exploded. My cravings also improved. Lesson number 16, sleep is the ultimate performance enhancer, and no supplement can fix your bad sleep. When you train randomly and inconsistently, you will be sore because your body hasn't adapted. When you train every week, soreness is no longer something you should aim for. Lesson 17, results come from smart training, not soreness. I used to think recovery was all about foam rolling and getting a massage, but then over the last 4 years, I started salsa dancing, and I realized it can be an activity that gives you a sense of play and presence. Lesson number 18, recovery is just as important as training. My client Mike kept on blaming his age and wear and tear for his back going out. But when we actually fixed his weak links, he started thriving in his 40s. Lesson number 19, beliefs age you faster than time. Be careful what you tell yourself. I thought my low back injury in my late 20s was going to end my career as a PT. I was so stressed about it getting worse, but then I focused on the controllables and my back improved with time and proper coaching. Lesson number 20, regardless of how bad your back feels, it will improve with the correct system. If a lot of the points I shared resonated with you, but you still don't know where to start on your journey, I recorded a full 60-minute workshop on the 5 essential movements to help you get pain-free over the next 30 days. You can just go here to find that video.